The Strasbourg Christmas market attack has risen to 4. With the latest, here's Lucy Williamson reporting from Paris.
France tonight relived the terror of another attack. In the narrow streets around Strasbourg's Christmas market, riot police hunted a gunman who opened fire on the crowds here. His gunshots initially mistaken by one witness for fireworks. This footage shows the moment one of the victims was shot amid the chaos and panic of Christmas revelers. Peter Fritz witnessed one of the attacks.
Well, what I heard shortly after 8 p.m., I should say, were two distinct gunshots and people fleeing the place. Now, I wasn't sure these were actually gunshots, and I went around the corner and I saw a person with apparently 2 shots into the head lying on the bridge here. We tried to engage in resuscitation activities. We took him into a restaurant, which I'm in right now, and we tried for 45 minutes to resuscitate him.
The gunman is reportedly known to security services. The French government has told people to stay where they are. Lawmakers and staff have been locked into the European Parliament, just 15 minutes away from the scene.
Yes, our situation is exceptional. We cannot leave the building.
Well, the streets are empty. People have been asked to vacate the streets, to stay inside. Any hotels, restaurants, all the doors are locked, keeping people inside, and indeed in the European Parliament itself.
The President of the European Commission said tonight that Strasbourg was a symbolic city of peace and democracy, values, he said, that we will always defend. Lucy Williamson, BBC News, Paris.
Well, let's just update you on the piece of information that we know this hour. We understand that the French President Emmanuel Macron has arrived at the Interior Ministry building in Paris for a briefing about the attack in Paris, and the counter-terrorism prosecutor in France has opened an investigation into what is happening. As it stands at the moment, the scene there in Strasbourg is 1 in the morning. I think we can show you the scene there live, where a heavy police presence, as we understand, reports that the gunman is still on the run. Police sources being quoted by the Reuters news agency saying that the gunman is on the run after an exchange with police in the area where gunshots were heard. But we're waiting for confirmation of exactly about when that happened. But the incident itself, the shooting, took place over 4 hours ago in the Place de Cleber, one of the main Christmas markets in Strasbourg, which attracts thousands of people, particularly popular, as you can imagine, at this time of year, tourists with locals alike. And also, of course, Strasbourg home to the European Parliament, where many people remain inside the Parliament building as the whole area is on lockdown as the police continue their operation to try and get the gunman into custody. Joining us now is Kasia Madeira, who's in Brussels. And Kasia, just bring us up to date with what you're hearing this hour.
Babita, the regional police, Préfet 67, are describing this as an événement en cours. So this is an ongoing active operation where, as you say, the gunman is still on the run, and the police are trying to find him. As you were saying, President Macron has arrived in Strasbourg. He will be overseeing developments, and the police are saying that the city centre has been evacuated, and police should leave, as they are leaving, via the north of Strasbourg. They are not to go down into the southern region. That's the Neudorf region, the Neudorf neighbourhood, where it is believed that the gunman is potentially hiding. Now, let me just talk us through what the developments of the day, because this shooting happened at 8 o'clock in the evening local time, so 5 hours ago. And the shooting happened close to that Christmas market near to one of the central squares, Place Cleber. This is an incredibly popular Christmas market. 4 million people visit it yearly. The shooting itself lasted for around 10 minutes, and the area it crossed was across 3 separate streets. So one can understand the amount of panic and the worry that this incident has caused. We have confirmed 2 people killed, 12 wounded, but media reports saying that up to 4 people are feared to have been killed. But of course, this is still an ongoing operation. 6 people seriously injured, 6 with lighter injuries. And we know that the gunman was known to security services. He's being hunted by police. We believe that he had been injured in an exchange of gunfire with a soldier. That's according to police, but we're waiting for a few more details on that. According to French media, the man had fled to his apartment in the Newsday district of the city, this area that is just slightly southeast of the area where this attack took place, the area where police are asking people not to go into, to stay away from the Newsday district. And it follows earlier developments on Tuesday morning where police had been searching a property in connection with a robbery. Grenades were found during the search, but the gunman was not amongst those who were detained. Residents in Newsday are being urged to stay indoors amid unconfirmed reports that he's been tracked down and cornered by police to this area. Now, the European Parliament is in Strasbourg, but I need to stress that this wasn't, it's not believed at least that the European Parliament was the main target of this attack. It's more likely that this Christmas market, incredibly popular Christmas market in Place Kléber, was the target. But interestingly, the European Parliament was going to be discussing, MEPs there very much present, they were going to be discussing the vote that was due to have taken place in Westminster, that vote that has been delayed. So there was a full turnout at the European Parliament. That debate was, of course, postponed because the vote had been delayed, but the European Parliament still very much in lockdown, and so a lot of concern about evacuating this area, and police very much saying that this area needs to be evacuated from the north of the area. The market itself was in what's called a little island, the Grande Île, which is almost surrounded by a river. And so it would have been quite hard for the gunman to make his escape out, but it's believed that he's escaped down to the area where his apartment was. This apartment was believed to be his apartment, this apartment that had been raided earlier on Tuesday morning. Now, the gunman was on a list, a police S list, a so-called S list, a maximum security list where security services were monitoring people who had been radicalized. But this is a list of around 400,000 people, so it's absolutely enormous list. So this is one person who on the list, but obviously as we're now reporting following this shooting, managed to get through that list, not as closely scrutinized as one would have hoped. Restaurants now being evacuated from that area, and traffic and the number of people leaving is a bit of a concern. But like I say, we're getting appeals by the police. Prefecture 67, the local police for this area, saying please leave this area via the north. Don't go south, do not go southeast, and avoid at all costs the Newsday area, because that is still very much an active ongoing search operation for the gunman. And yes, President Macron has arrived. He's overseeing the developments there, very much concerned about what's happening, understandably, given the number of attacks that have been taking place in France. So once again, we're talking about terror on the French streets, this time in Strasbourg, with as many at the moment as we believe 4 people known to have been killed.
Okay, Kasia, thank you very much for that update. Yeah, just to reiterate what we're hearing from the AFP news agency and the Reuters news agency, quoting Mayor Roland Ries, who's saying that 3 or 4 people have been injured that are currently in critical condition in hospital, but saying that at least 4 people have now lost their lives in this gun attack. An interdepartmental crisis centre has been set up in Strasbourg to deal with this, involving all the intelligence services, the police operations and the emergency units. That is where we understand the French President Emmanuel Macron to currently be in attendance, getting a briefing about the next course of action as well. This is an active counter-terrorism investigation, as confirmed by the French prosecutor's team. them saying that this is an incident that is an act of terrorism. As Kasia was just saying there, that the gunman was reportedly known to the security forces. He was part of an investigation and a man of interest during a dawn raid on Tuesday morning, in which he was not present at his address in Noordorf district, which is in South Strasbourg. That is still an active crime in terms of what the police are looking for. Is completely surrounded by police there, and police vans that have cordoned off the area. And as Kasia just said, that the main centre of the city is being evacuated. The area, of course, remains in lockdown, as we understand, according to the Reuters news agency, quoting police sources, that the gunman is still on the run. We also understand that the Christmas market itself, Kleber, which is the centre of where the shooting took place, is in lockdown, and getting confirmation from the mayor, who is speaking to a number of news agencies, saying that that Christmas market will remain closed on Wednesday and flags there will be lowered to half-mast. He tweeted that a book of condolences will be opened at the town hall from later on Wednesday, and wanting to thank the people of the city for their patience and understanding. And he also went on to say that he's in discussion with education authorities about the possible closures to schools on Wednesday in the area. So all necessary precautions being taken in the aftermath of this incident. But I should say it's still an ongoing situation, an active investigation with the gunman still at loose. Well, joining me now is Joseph, who is a terrorism expert with a particular expertise in the situation in France and how they deal with these services. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. Tell me firstly your assessment of what we know to be currently at work in terms of all the emergency services and all the intelligence getting together in this crisis centre in the centre of Strasbourg.
I mean, what we've seen so far is actually quite a swift response to the attack this evening. So you've seen, you know, various different parts of the French state mobilise to not only secure the area but also to begin that investigation. What is highly likely that they'll be doing currently is desperately trying to ascertain whether this is an individual working on his own, or if this individual is part of a broader network. If he's part of a broader network, are there more attacks planned in the coming hours or coming days? And these are the things that I think they're going to want to try and establish very, very quickly, in addition to actually trying to get their hands on this particular individual. Which is not an easy thing to do. Even if you know that he's in a small area, it's kind of like searching for a needle in a haystack. I mean, it really is not a simple thing to do. What
we do know about the man is that he was 29 years of age, known to the security services, on a list which includes thousands of others on a watch list, if you like, which brings up a big warning sign about potential terrorism links and activities. Having said that, then, how closely would he have been watched, knowing that we know that he was part of a dawn raid on Tuesday morning to do with a robbery investigation? Well,
this is a really serious problem that the French have. Their early warning system, their watch list system, really is not fit for purpose. It's come under sustained critique, not just outside of France but also inside of France, with even the president seeking himself to start a central terror command. Precisely to get over some of the more bureaucratic aspects of the French security services. I mean, as your fellow reporter said, there are like more than hundreds of thousands of people on this list. Clearly that's not effective. There are definitely not 100,000 dangerous, violent terrorists within France of all persuasions. So clearly something there is very wrong and needs kind of urgent attention and urgent reform. So if he was placed on that list, it doesn't actually come with any obligation to monitor him at all. It's actually dependent upon the opinion of a judge. And in that particular case, the judge would look at, okay, so what threat does he pose? Is he about to commit an act of violence? Does he have previous convictions for planning violent attacks? And all of that will be used to decide whether or not he should be monitored or detained. It's very interesting that he was part of an investigation for a robbery. One of the constant patterns in France, which also actually plays out in other European countries like here in the UK or in Germany, is that those that carry out these attacks often have a background in petty crime. And it sounds as if from what I'm hearing tonight in terms of the way that people are describing the gunshots, that he was probably using an automatic weapon. France has got a massive issue with sort of banal day-to-day criminals that rob, you know, corner shops using Kalashnikov rifles. I mean, it really is quite serious.
Well, I have to stress that we're still waiting for confirmed reports about the weapon that was used in the shooting and exactly the details of this suspect, more information. But in terms of that watch list, because I think you've just touched upon something very interesting there, what is the criteria to be included on that watch list?
It's actually very minimal. It's just that you have some affiliation with some kind of radical group, or you're seen as posing some very nebulous and very abstract threat to the security of the state.
Okay.
So people that are on that list include people involved in organised crime, people that are kind of in far left or far right movements in France, and it really doesn't really say that much. It sounds as if it says a lot, and definitely from the outside it can seem to paint quite a sort of quite depressing picture of the state of French affairs, that there are all these hundreds of thousands of people on this list that are possibly dangerous. But really, the barrier to entry is quite low. Well, you don't really need to be that dangerous at all, to be honest.
Prosecutors there, the counter-terrorism prosecutors, very quick to move this in terms of their wording to a terrorist incident, as they're calling it. Just talk me through the process whereby an incident like this occurs and how quickly then it goes from one of a shooting of unknown consequence in terms of terrorism to that of a terrorist incident.
It really depends what information they have, to be honest. I think the fact that this individual, even in a very nebulous and loose way, is possibly connected in some way to some kind of group that engages in sort of political violence would have been enough for them to open a terror investigation. Obviously they have information that they're not, for operational reasons, releasing to the press, so they clearly know a lot more than we currently know, and so it would seem from what they can ascertain that there is some sort of connection to terrorism, more broadly defined, whether he's right-wing, left-wing, Islamist or whatever particular shade of terrorist he is, he has some kind of connection.
What we do know is that France has undergone a number of terrorist attacks. They've been on a high alert warning since 2015, the Charlie Hebdo attacks. What, for you, do you believe the situation to be in France today compared to where we were a few years ago when the attacks of Charlie Hebdo occurred? I
mean, unfortunately, even though a lot of steps have been taken by the government, visibly France looks very different. So on the streets of French cities, you can see, for example, the soldiers that have been drafted into buttress civilian security forces to patrol the streets of French cities. So on the surface things look different, but substantively I don't think the French are in a much better position, to be honest with you. I mean, they can add people to lists, they can put laws into on the statute books that were previously just part of a state of emergency, but it's not going to change the situation on the ground. And I think one of the key issues they have is a lack of agile, intelligence-led, not just policing, but also you know, the broader security services. They don't seem to be able to get a grip on, you know, identifying threats, getting decent intelligence and acting really before the event.
Okay, Joseph Downing, for now, stay with us. I know you're going to be with us for a while as we continue to pore over the details here. But we just want to bring you the pictures that have come into us of the French President Emmanuel Macron arriving in Strasbourg. This was a short time ago as he is being flagged by his team heading into an emergency session, a briefing to discuss the next course of action, of course, as this ongoing investigation continues to locate and detain the gunman who we understand to still be at large. We understand that an interdepartmental crisis centre, as it's now being called, has been set up in the city centre, which has been completely evacuated as a security measure as the gunman remains at large. And also a number of buildings in and around Strasbourg remain under lockdown as well. As far as we know this now, that includes the European Parliament, which is based in Strasbourg, and also the entire area around the Place Cleber, the Christmas market, which was the centre of the shooting, where we know at least 2 people lost their lives. That also in lockdown with a huge security presence, as you would expect there. We heard from the mayor of the city a short time ago, being quoted by the AFP and Reuters news agency, saying that they understand that death toll has now risen to 4 people, 3 to 4, he said, are currently in serious critical condition in hospital, and at least 11 others have been wounded as well. He also went on to confirm that the Christmas market will be closed on Wednesday and flags there will be lowered to half-mast. This is the scene on the other side of the city a short time ago, where we believe this could be Neudorf district in the south of Strasbourg, which has been the point of investigation Tuesday morning, in fact, when dawn raids were carried out as part of an ongoing operation into robberies in the area. And one of the buildings and the apartments being searched there was that belonging to the current suspect, a 29-year-old man who was not present at the time. But we understand that grenades were found in the property that was being searched there. We can go back now to Kasia Madeira, who's following developments for us in nearby Brussels. And Kasia, we're hearing more details about the gunman, of course, and the fact that he was a suspect in this dawn raid on Tuesday morning. We're hearing that also French media are possibly naming him and showing pictures of the alleged suspect. We're still waiting for confirmation for the authorities on that. But what more can you tell us about him?
Well, absolutely right, Babita. At the moment, there's social media, lots of speculation as to his identity. There is an image, but of course that's not being confirmed as to whether that is the gunman that the police are looking for. We do know that he is 29 years old, and we do know that he was on this list, this S list. It's called the Fiche S. It's a list of people who are considered a potential security risk, but as your guest was saying, the criteria to get on this list is pretty low. So there are 400,000 people on this list. So obviously not everybody is going to be monitored all the time. It's just an absolute impossibility. Now, this Fiche SS is this people considered a potential security risk. It's believed that police confirmed that the gunman was at an address earlier on Tuesday morning. Police had gone to his home in this district of Neudorf. It's in the southeast of Strasbourg. They'd gone to arrest him for a burglary, but he was not there. Officers then say had allegedly then discovered grenades in the flat. It's then reported that the gunman shot at soldiers who were patrolling as part of a nationwide Opération Sentinelle, which is a French military operation which had been introduced in the aftermath of the terrorist attacks in and around Paris back in January 2015. Of course, France very, very much aware of these types of terrorist attacks, much experience. So police then have been asking residents in the centre of Strasbourg to stay in their homes, and also anybody leaving the centre of Strasbourg not to leave the centre, not to leave that area which was the subject of that attack via the north, because that it would the southeast rather, because that would lead them to this Neudorf area where it's still very much a point of interest for the authorities. Still very much an active situation, an ongoing situation, and the gunman still at large.
OK, Kasia, thank you very much for that update. Kasia Madeira, they're reporting live from Brussels. Just going to show you the scene in Strasbourg at one of the government buildings there, where the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, is currently inside, attending an emergency briefing with other security services, detailing the next course of action as the gunman remains on the streets of Strasbourg at this hour. You're watching this special programme on BBC News. Stay with us as we continue with the latest developments.
Hello. You can expect a definite chill in the air over the next few days, particularly as a biting wind picks up. But for western parts of the UK, there is a little bit of rain in the forecast. What we've got on the satellite picture from a little earlier on is this stripe of cloud. It's a frontal system pushing in from the Atlantic. It is bringing some outbreaks of rain. But whereas we might normally expect a front to sweep through, bringing rain for all of us, this front is running up against some resistance, this area of high pressure blocking the front's progress. So it won't get much further than the southwest of England, Wales, Northern Ireland, southwest Scotland. Here some rain, but elsewhere Wednesday getting off to a largely dry, if rather cloudy start with the odd fog patch. Through the day, we should see brighter conditions spreading from the east, so more in the way of sunshine, but with that, some colder air spreading from the east as well. So the mildest weather will be in the west, 10 degrees in Belfast, in Stornoway and in Plymouth. Now, as we go through Wednesday evening into the night, we'll see more and more clear skies filtering through. Still a bit of patchy cloud, but where the skies do stay clear and starry for any length of time where you are, it is going to get a little bit chilly. You can see the pale green and blue colours here on our temperature chart. Our towns and cities around about 2, 3 or 4 degrees, but some spots in the countryside can expect a touch of frost. And then into Thursday, well, this weather battleground continues. Frontal system still trying to bring rain in from the west, high pressure blocking their progress. And around this high, at this stage, we're going to have an increasingly brisk east or southeasterly wind, and that is going to make it feel cold. So on Thursday, any wet weather really confined to the far southwest of the country, particularly parts of Cornwall. Elsewhere, largely dry, apart from the odd shower just sprinkling in across the North Sea coast. There will be some spells of sunshine, but look at the strength of the wind, particularly in some southern and western areas, and temperatures, well, on the thermometer, not particularly impressive, but add on the strength of the wind, this is what it's going to feel like. If you're spending your day in the Channel Islands, it'll feel sub-zero. Norwich, Birmingham, it'll feel like freezing. A very, very chilly feel to the day. Now, on Friday, the winds will be a bit lighter, so it may not feel quite as cold, even though the temperatures will still be quite low. A change, as you can see, though, as we get on into Saturday, because those fronts in the Atlantic will make a bit more progress by this stage. We'll see some windy weather, some very wet weather for some, and as the fronts run into some cold air, especially over high ground in the north, there could be some snow.
A 100 years after independence, Poland is grappling with an identity crisis. I meet nationalists, progressives and the country's newest arrivals. Our World, the struggle for Poland's future. Saturday and Sunday, 9:30 p.m. on the BBC News channel.
Stories set to shape the news agenda. Headlines freshly written. Original perspectives on the day's unfolding narratives. See the bigger picture as it emerges. The Papers, weeknights at 10:40 on the BBC News channel.
You're watching BBC News. I'm Babita Sharma. Our top story this hour: a gunman has opened fire in the French city of Strasbourg near a busy Christmas market. It's reported that at least 4 people have been killed, according to the local mayor, and more than 11 others have been injured. Security forces engaged the gunman in a 10-minute shootout. He's reportedly still at large. Much of the city, including the nearby European Parliament, remains closed off. Officials say the attacker had been previously identified as a national security risk. It's reported police raided the suspect's home on Tuesday morning, finding a number of grenades in connection with an investigation to do with robberies, but that the suspect at the time managed to avoid arrest. There are also unconfirmed reports that the gunman has been tracked down and cornered by police in the Nordorf district in the south of Strasbourg. Stay with us, we'll bring you the latest. We'll be back with you with more, of course, on Strasbourg in half an hour. But first, here on BBC News, it's time for Hard Talk.
Welcome to a special edition of Hard Talk from Oslo with me, Sarah Montague. My guests have come to the Norwegian capital to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. Nadia Morad and Dr. Denis Mukwege have been jointly awarded this year's prize for their efforts to end the use of sexual violence as a weapon of war and armed conflict. Nadia Morad, from Iraq's Yazidi community, was kidnapped and repeatedly raped by so-called Islamic State. She's highlighted the issue since her escape. Dr. Mukwege is a gynecologist who's treated thousands of women and children sexually abused in the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo. What can be done to stop the use of rape as a weapon of war? Nadia Morad, Dr. Denis Mukwege, welcome to Hard Talk. Dr. Mukwege, tell us how you learned about winning the prize. I think you were in surgery, weren't you?
Exactement, j'étais au bloc opératoire. Normalement, le vendredi, j'opère et donc j'ai entendu un bruit. Je me suis posé la question, qu'est-ce qui se passait? Est-ce que c'est un incendie ou un accident? Et quand j'étais en train de me poser des questions, l'anesthésiste est venu, il m'a sauté au cou en disant vous venez d'être nommé pour le prix Nobel de la paix 2018. J'étais complètement touché et surtout ce nombre de femmes qui sont venues me prendre et chanter, danser. C'était très émouvant.
And totally surprising?
À ce moment-là, vraiment, j'étais surpris parce que je n'y avais pas pensé.
Nadia Morad, you have expressed mixed feelings on winning the prize because it changed your life so much.
اب جایزه وقتی ما بکار کریو ما تشتكيش جایزه نوبل نزاني ما مجوز الرسالة كي جهين مش تشتي داعش بكاتو جنا كري تشتي ما وعائلة ما وملاتي ما كري أفريا مش خورا قرتي كالك بزحمات بو و 3 سالة ديم هرول جهكي إشبروي كي مناديت إنه قواطع مع جارنا استحسم إنه قواطع منها مع سكاربم في شغلي بيهتير ببم بكيبو از بكيبو مشاليا كيبو مش بر وي ارهابي دبيا ما وجنيد وكا ما ونداكا و نوبل نهشت افتشت هدفي داعش بجيبي وش آليا كيبا از حزين بوم اجبر اف جايزة بشتي كاركي جالكي بزحمات وبشتي تعدكا جالكي مع زنهات.
You spoke to us on Hard Talk about what happened to you in 2016. To raise awareness, you have had to keep retelling your story, which I know is difficult for you. But what is it that you say to those who don't know what happened to you?
هر جارك شما جهكي مديم قصة أخواتكو إيش حكومة دارة إيش جامعة راش إيش محكمة را إيش ميديا را وهر جارك المنافس حماد بو هر جارك زد حسيام إنه أزد حسيام بحيبة أزد حسيام بتعبه بس تشتمل بينه عالم زانبه إنه أو تشنهات ساكن عندن بلكي إيرو أزد بيجم بس بهزارة هتانها أفتعدلي تياكرن بهزارة نبايفتن إش حيبي أو حرية تاوان نبو كبايبن بس بيسترش ملوان تياكرن.
And what happened to you was that you were taken from your village along with many other Yazidi women, and with them you were effectively sold and raped many times.
أفتش داعش بشكلكي على نيجر وقت هاتي من 2014 بيهتر 6500 كتشكو جني ازديابرن از وی وقتی بخوشکت خرابم از بداغ خرابم بکچت برای خورا بیان استجن برای خورا ام داعش البال فرق نبو کی جنا ابزاروكا كي اتشلونا الباوان اهم بو شرف وكرامتا وانجيب بن اغتسابك نو بفروشن وافتشت نا روجا كابتني يا جارة كابتني وافتشت هتانوا بحقي 3000 مستمرة.
Dr. Mukwege, you became a gynecologist and built a hospital in the Democratic Republic of Congo to help women in childbirth. But I know when you opened the doors, you had a rather different experience of the patients who was turning up. Tell us what happened.
En effet, lorsque j'avais commencé comme gynécologue obstétricien, ma vision c'était de lutter contre la mortalité maternelle qui est très élevée dans mon pays. Et donc la construction de l'hôpital c'était pour ce but. Mais la première victime que j'avais soignée à l'hôpital qui s'était présentée, c'était une femme malheureusement qui avait subi un viol avec extrême violence puisqu'elle avait tout son appareil génital complètement en petits morceaux par une balle, une arme à feu. Et je crois que pour moi c'était la première fois, après 15 ans d'expérience comme gynécologue obstétricien, c'était la première fois que je voyais des lésions comme ça. Évidemment, je pensais que c'est un fait isolé, mais je ne pouvais pas malheureusement imaginer la suite.
And what did happen is that you were presented in the first few months with many more cases of rape.
3 mois après, je m'étais rendu compte que ce n'était pas normal. Parce que en 3 mois, donc 1999, j'avais soigné déjà 45 femmes avec la même histoire. Là, j'ai commencé quand même à comprendre qu'il y avait quelque chose d'anormal, que toutes les femmes viennent avec la même histoire, des viols collectifs avec destruction, torture portant sur l'appareil génital. J'ai compris que ce n'était pas normal.
And this was, I mean, we're talking all ages. How young was your youngest patient?
Aujourd'hui, la plus jeune a seulement 6 mois. Et les plus âgées sont des femmes qui ont au-delà de 80 ans et souvent elles ne connaissent même pas leur âge tellement elles sont âgées et quand elles sont nées, il n'y avait pas d'état civil. Donc je crois que c'est tous les âges. Il n'y a pas... et je crois que là, je voulais vraiment attirer l'attention. Ce n'est pas sexuel, c'est une stratégie de destruction. Puisque quand vous voyez les personnes qu'ils prennent, ça n'a rien à voir avec le sexe.
So it is a result of war, is it? It's not everyday violence?
Non, ce n'est pas une violence habituelle. C'est vraiment un viol comme stratégie de guerre, un viol comme terrorisme, un acte de terrorisme.
You've likened it to biological warfare. In what, and you talked about it as an extermination tactic. Can you explain what you mean?
Vous savez que lorsque on attaque l'homme au niveau de l'appareil génital de la femme, ça veut dire tout simplement on attaque l'homme là où il vient. Ça c'est d'abord quelque chose de... c'est très quelque chose qu'il faut comprendre. Mais lorsqu'on le fait en public, collectivement, avec torture, on traumatise non seulement la victime, mais on traumatise également toute la population qui voit ça. Et en fait, ce traumatisme entraîne souvent que les gens ils perdent la confiance en eux-mêmes. La tendance est de fuir. Donc, il y a un déplacement massif de la population. Lorsqu'on tire dans l'appareil génital, lorsqu'on est violé par plusieurs personnes à la fois, il y a les infections, il y a la destruction de l'appareil génital. Donc, on détruit la capacité de la femme de reproduire, de donner d'autres enfants après. En détruisant une personne, vous empêchez plusieurs personnes de venir en vie. Et à la fin, la femme porte la société sur ses épaules. Dans ma communauté, ce sont les femmes qui portent même l'économie. Lorsque vous les rendez malades, donc vous détruisez l'économie de la communauté. Résultat, c'est que vous avez les mêmes conséquences que les armes classiques, mais malheureusement ici, ça va se transmettre sur des générations à venir. Le VIH peut aller d'une génération à une autre, le traumatisme psychologique peut aller d'une génération à une autre, Et donc la transmission peut se faire verticalement, mais aussi transversalement.
Yeah.
Et donc c'est la gravité de cette arme.
Yeah, you've described rape as the least of what these women suffer because of the consequences of it. Do you think it is a deliberate military tactic, that it is actually sanctioned from the senior levels?
On a beaucoup de cas de témoignages où en fait les femmes témoignent comment les chefs militaires décident ce qu'il va faire des femmes. Ça, c'est du côté des victimes. Mais également, on a des soldats qui ont commis ces actes et qui témoignent qu'ils ont eu l'ordre du chef pour commettre ces actes. Je crois que la troisième chose, c'est que lorsque vous faites la même chose, vous ne pouvez pas le faire sans qu'il y ait une planification. Donc vous l'avez fait puisque vous avez planifié de le faire. Et enfin, je crois qu'il faut regarder les types de lésions. Lorsqu'elles sont le même type de lésions, ça veut dire qu'il y a quand même une attente pour faire ces choses. Nous avions même observé que des groupes différents commettaient les actes exactement les mêmes dans le groupe.
Dr. Mukwege is talking about rape as a weapon of war. Did it feel like warfare to you when you and the other Yazidi women were taken?
أكيد أفتشتكي إداعش وساكر شروجها بريدة كجنقرنا سلاحك حربي وفي تشتي وكي إخويابو وهر إرهابك نبز داعش وقتي جروبات إرهابي اتكهنيك دي مجني بين كسلاحك حربي شخورة.
When you consider how it can be stopped, it's recognized in international law as a crime against humanity. What more do you think can be done to stop it? Does it come down to enforcing those laws?
أزبجم ومتبينين إنه هذا عدالتنا به أفتشنا سكنان وأفيك سقمت إنه هدفي ما همك وحلمي ما همك ضحية إنه عدالة شمر بيداني إجبر هر جارك وقت داعش هادي داعش زاني وكشتنو زاني هاد بو كشتني بكا وهاد اغتصابي بكا هاد بو دماركي بكا بس وقت عدالة هبه إنه أموان ببينن أم نزان كي داعش هات يا كشتن أم نزانن كي بازايا أم نزانن كي نهي حرة بس وقت عدالة هبه أم مبينن إنه أفتشنا كرراندن إجبار إرهابي ديوال وان نيري أويد بين ببناء إرهاب وأويد بين جريمة بجنابكن وبينن إنه البيشوان شونا محكمة وعدالتها تحققاندن جاءوا باج تهرن.
Do you ever expect to see the men who raped you in court?
عملهم هيا بس هما نيزيك نادية بس تشتم المات كبير تشتي أم ما وكم ما قوتش عالم رما جهاند ما جريمة وان جهاندن إنه هلبا عالمين مينه إنه عدالتش ما حق.
Dr. Mukwege, apart from enforcing laws, there is also a problem within society, isn't there, which is that there's still a stigma attached to women who have been raped, attached to the victims rather than the perpetrators.
Je crois qu'effectivement, lorsque dans la société l'impunité est totale, ceux qui commettent les viols, ils se comportent finalement comme des seigneurs, ils se comportent comme ils ont le droit sur le corps des femmes. Et je pense que la seule façon, il faut absolument avoir une justice qui permet de transférer cette discrimination de la femme, de la victime, vers plutôt celui qui a commis les crimes. Aujourd'hui, nous avons du mal vraiment à avoir ces transferts, puisque les femmes sont obligées à garder le silence par rapport aux crimes qu'elles subissent.
So you think there is total impunity for rapists in your country?
Il y a tout simplement 2 mois, j'étais avec, non 2 ans, j'étais avec une journaliste qui voulait voir qu'est-ce qui est devenu l'hôpital où j'ai travaillé et où la guerre avait commencé. Et quand elle voulait faire son reportage, les femmes ont dit, voilà, le commandant militaire qui est là, c'est celui qui nous a violés, c'est celui qui a tué nos maris, c'est celui qui a tué nos filles. Et donc vous venez faire le reportage, après votre départ, nous on va subir encore sa loi. Et je pense que lorsqu'on a des situations comme ça, où les gros poissons sont laissés libres, on ne peut pas parler vraiment de la lutte contre l'impunité. Il faut absolument que les criminels puissent répondre de leurs actes. Si le pays ne peut pas le faire, le droit international devrait le faire. On a normalement des institutions qui devraient s'occuper des questions comme ça. Mais aujourd'hui, on a l'impression que les victimes sont abandonnées à leur propre sort.
Why do you think the world haven't acted? You describe it as the worst form of terrorism. Why do you think there hasn't been any external pressure or action?
Ça, c'est une bonne question. Pendant très longtemps, je me posais la question, est-ce que si les hommes subissaient ce que les femmes subissent, est-ce que le monde serait aussi silencieux qu'il est? Et c'est vrai que il y a toujours une discrimination. Il faut que nous ayons le courage d'accepter que nous n'acceptons pas encore l'égalité hommes et femmes. Et donc la souffrance de la femme, elle est souvent reléguée au second plan. Et je vais juste vous donner un exemple. J'avais eu un monsieur qui avait été violé, et après l'avoir violé, ils ont coupé son sexe. J'ai eu plein de journalistes qui voulaient l'interroger, qui trouvaient que c'est pas normal, ils s'indignaient très fort. Et moi, ça m'avait un tout petit peu choqué, puisque j'avais des milliers de femmes qui avaient des blessures génitales terribles. Mais ça, à la limite, ça passait dans le concept. Mais lorsque on ampute le pénis d'un homme, les gens ont l'impression que c'est plus dramatique que la destruction qu'on fait sur les femmes. Je pense que nous devons lutter pour l'égalité pendant la période de paix.
Nadia Murad, at the end of our interview, our last interview in 2016, you said, I ask the world to do something for us. Do you feel that they did enough?
إنه هاجي أزد بش مع عالم تشتكيش مرة بكن إنه هاجي زد بش مع عالم تشتكي بكن إنه أم خلاصنا بن إجبر أو إرهاب إجبر أو فكرة متطرف جالك معايا وهكا حمايتنا هاتا كرين هكا عدالتنا هاتا حقق عندن يجنزعني وتشتكن جيوي كرري.
But for the Yazidi people as well, because you have managed to get asylum, but there are still hundreds of thousands of Yazidis in refugee camps. Is there more that should be done?
أكيد هكا إيرو شنقال هاد با حماية كرين أو خلقي بقرية هكا إيرو صحة وتعليم وآب وكهرب هبا إيرو شنقال خلقي بقرية 450,000 خلقي شنقال إيرو بس 6,000 بقرية شنقال أو 6,000 جي الوضع كي قالك بزحمة يبي خدمات نزانن كروجي حياتهم تشلود به تشتني هات يكرن قالك مساعدة كما زن بوجبا حكومة فرنسا إذا كرنا عبوا الشنغالي أب تشتكي قالك باجبو بشتي يكشف كرنا 6 مقبرة جماعي الشنغادا فريق UN نهاتشوا ودري وبلكي زو دست بي بكا انوان مقبرات توثيق بكا بس هر امت حوجي خدماتها نو آبا كرنا شنغالن جسي 65,000 ESD مخيماتها شمال.
Can you ever imagine going home?
وقت عدالتها بحمايتها بقى نا وقت يقدر كبي ونا وقت وسا إرهابي لازم أمدا بجيا بردن لازم أمدا بش شنغال بردن ودا بش كونغو إش سوريا إش يمن إش هر جهة كي إجبر إرهاب لازم أم إرهاب دارينن وعدالتي بحققينن وأم بقرنا جهتها.
Dr. Mukwege, how realistic is it to think that there can be anything put in place that can stop this?
Je crois que dans les conflits armés, les gens ils se battent pour gagner la guerre. Et s'ils gagnent la guerre, c'est pour diriger. Et ils dirigent, c'est dans le monde. Je pense que si c'est celui qui gagne la guerre en utilisant le viol comme arme de guerre, après, il est refusé de sortir de son pays. Il ne peut pas placer son argent à l'extérieur de son pays. Il ne peut pas faire les affaires, le commerce avec les autres pays. Il est sous sanction puisqu'il a fait ça. Je crois que tout seigneur de guerre ou quelqu'un qui fait la guerre va commencer à se poser la question, je vais gagner la guerre, mais je vais quand même jouir du fait d'avoir gagné la guerre. Mais si aujourd'hui on leur déroule les tapis rouges, ils ont le sentiment que c'est une arme comme les autres. Il faut absolument, au lieu d'un tapis rouge, il faut une ligne rouge pour que toute personne comprenne que aller au-delà de cette ligne rouge en utilisant le viol comme arme de guerre, le monde ne pourra jamais accepter. Je pense que nous avons la